9. Time to talk with Janine Young now, our New Scientist correspondent, joining us in Melbourne City with the latest on New Science over there. Good morning to you, Janine.
Good morning to you.
And first up, a couple of great stories. We're going to be talking about the future of space food, but first up, some interesting use for spider silk.
It seems that a lot of researchers are fascinated with spider silk, and for very good reason. It's incredibly strong, it's incredibly resilient, it's amazing stuff. I hate spiders, so the prospect of this just scares the life out of me. And as I was preparing this story last night, I had a spider crawl out from behind my computer and scared the life out of me. So
well, there you go.
I don't know if that's a sign, I don't know what that is, but Anyway, Shigeyoshi Osaki from Nara Medical University in Japan has spent 35 years trying to get spider silk into violin strings. He has taken all sorts of steps to try and work out what kind of features violin strings need in terms of resonance and elasticity and how they work, and he's actually succeeded. So he's very pleased with himself, and apparently it has an amazing sound. We actually have an audio clip of it on the website. And it sounds great, but I'm no aficionado. I don't really know violins, so, what do I know? But people who play violins say that it's absolutely amazing. What he's done has been able to coax a particular type of spider to produce dragline, which is apparently the strongest of all the different types that they make. He's then bound them together and then bound 3 of these together to then bind more together. The largest string, the G string, has 15,000 individual filaments. That's a lot of filaments for each string.
Wow.
And wow is probably about right. And it turns out that each filament actually changes shape when it's bound together. Ordinarily, it's a nice round cylinder, whereas it changes into a polygon when it's twisted into a violin string. And that's possibly what's giving it its unique and brilliant, the word is brilliant apparently, timbre. And they know that the harmonics are a little bit different than for the other traditional materials, which tend to be nylon or steel or even gut, which is the oldie worldy way to make violin strings. So apparently its tone is actually, its harmonics are really, really good in the high ranges, and it has incredibly high strength. The big drawback is that it's really expensive. It's not going to be your average, pop down to the local music shop and there you have a spider silk violin. Not yet.
Any idea on the strength of these strings at all?
Very, very apparently. Because they are made from spider silk, which is among the strongest materials known, they are very, very strong. Apparently, though, the strings feel a bit like rope when you're running your finger down them. I've never played the violin, so I don't know what an ordinary string feels like, but I would guess it's probably quite smooth by comparison. But incredibly strong, and apparently plays absolutely beautifully.
Wow, I'd love to check out that sample over at newscientist.com. Moving on, though, some nutritionists and I guess scientists have been thinking about what space travellers will be eating as they travel through deep space in the future. I guess not in our lifetime, probably, but what will they be eating?
Well, we're really hitting the important stuff this morning, aren't we? We're talking climate change today. No, we're going for the fun stuff. It's nice for a change, isn't it? You're right, space travellers are going to be slightly more picky than astronauts currently are. They're going to be sitting there going, right, what's for dinner? And I don't want any of this rehydrated ramen noodle rubbish, thank you very much. They'll get that anyway because there's only certain ways to be able to cook in space. There's no convection. So the process of cooking like we do it doesn't really work. And you need to pack quite light. So dehydration is actually a really important way of being able to get food into space and then being able to turn it into food again once you get there. A bunch of researchers and an astronaut have been working together in the Robin Collective at National Science and Engineering Week this year to try and give some idea of what might be on the plate. Spirulina is the green microalgae that is packed with nutrients and it's meant to be really, really good for you. But it's so disgusting that most people spit it out as soon as they put it in their mouth. But apparently if you actually mix it up into a Brazilian cocktail, it tastes fantastic. They're calling it a cosmic cocktail. they've given all these things really space-related names,
Yeah.
which is a bit naff,
Yeah.
but seems to be working. Nobody seems to mind at this point. But it has antioxidants and protein, and so that one apparently might be a good option. Of course, you've got the issue of microgravity, which means that you have drops of anything that escapes ending up in fairly inconvenient places that could be in your circuitry. It could be stuck somewhere on you that you can't see.
True.
So you'd have to be fairly careful how you drink it. Apparently that's a good start. Food has to be more concentrated in flavour, because apparently there's an effect, and this has done my head in. If I thought about it, I would have realised, but still, that the blood and fluids in your body don't always travel downwards when you're in space, because obviously there's no gravity to make it run the way it normally does. So therefore it can flow back up again, which means that you can wind up with really nasty things like blocked sinuses from fluid building up in your head. They call it the Charlie Brown effect, apparently, which means that, like any bad head cold or sinus infection that you've ever had, you can't taste anything. So they need to really concentrate flavours. There is a Mars breakfast bar, and not made by the company, it's purely named after the planet, that apparently tastes like a full English breakfast, but it is so heavy on the bacon and the salt that it's inedible here on Earth. Who knows whether or not it would actually work if you do in fact have blocked sinuses.
Yeah.
I suggest they try once someone has a sinus infection.
Wow. Because science fiction has told us, early science fiction, that it'll all be in pill form, but obviously perhaps not the case.
Well, I think you can't get past the fact that as humans, we like food. The sensation of food going into our mouths and swallowing it, and that sensation of feeling full. And that's a problem in space, getting enough to eat, because obviously it doesn't taste very good, and it's not appetizing. As humans, we like to eat. So pill form might be nice for a while, but it might be difficult in the long term to sustain. I've heard about people that have these liquid-only diets to try and lose weight, and they go nuts because they're not eating proper food.
Yeah.
So I think it might be the same thing, whether or not it's dehydrated ice cream that has crumble on top, or freeze-dried raspberries, or dehydrated noodles that are meant to taste like an entire roast dinner. They're going to find ways to actually put food down people's throats and give them a sensation of fullness to try and make it better, because you still want to have some kind of sensation of being at home. Peanut butter and jam on tortillas, apparently that's on the menu as well.
Because there's no point in arriving on Mars going out of your mind, because there'll be enough of that going on Mars, no doubt, once you actually get there. May as well
the amount of time that takes, yes, I think you're absolutely right.
Janine Young is at New Scientist magazine, newscientist.com, and the magazine coming out this week, and also on Twitter as well, JEMY Online. And